She lit up every stage she walked onto, but behind the glittering smile of Ann-Margret was a haunting memory she still can't bear to revisit. Long before she became a Hollywood icon, Ann-Margret was just a young girl from a small town in Sweden, chasing big dreams in America. Born Ann-Margret Olsen on April 28, 1941, she immigrated with her family at age 5 and settled in Wilmette, Illinois. From the very beginning, it was clear, this wasn't just another child. With a natural flair for music and movement, Ann-Margret enchanted everyone around her. But while her rise to fame was meteoric, not all memories from her journey shine bright. There's one episode she filmed in 1964 that remains too painful, too emotional, and to this day, she refuses to watch it. Her burning passion for performance led her to Northwestern University, where she didn't just study acting, she lived and breathed it. This was the place where the foundation of an extraordinary career began to take shape. When Ann-Margret burst onto the Hollywood scene in the early 1960s, she didn't just arrive, she exploded. Her magnetic energy, bold charisma, and unforgettable presence set her apart from the very first frame. It was her role as Kim McAfee in the 1963 musical Bye Bye Birdie that truly launched her into stardom. With a sultry voice and electric charm, she captivated audiences and critics alike, who quickly dubbed her Hollywood's next great sensation. And then came Viva Las Vegas in 1964, where she shared the screen with Elvis Presley himself, matching his charisma beat for beat and proving she wasn't just a starlet, she was a force. Their on-screen chemistry wasn't just noticed, it was unforgettable. Audiences could feel the sparks flying between Ann-Margret and Elvis Presley, making Viva Las Vegas more than just a musical, it became a defining moment in pop culture history. That film didn't just elevate her status, it immortalized her as a global icon, a mesmerizing blend of beauty, charisma, and undeniable talent. But Ann-Margret refused to be boxed in by her looks or her sex symbol status. Beneath the glamour was a fiercely driven actress, determined to showcase her full artistic range. As the years went on, she deliberately took on roles that pushed emotional and physical limits. In Carnal Knowledge, 1971, she delivered a raw, haunting portrayal of a woman unraveling in a painful, loveless relationship, earning her the first of 2 Academy Award nominations. Then came Tommy, 1975, where she fearlessly embraced one of her most demanding roles to date, portraying a tormented mother in the psychedelic rock opera. That performance didn't just impress, it stunned, proving once and for all that Ann-Margret was not just a star, she was an artist of remarkable depth. These parts silenced skeptics who had written her off as a lovely face by showcasing her emotional range and acting bravery. Ann-Margret was more than just a movie star. She was also a force to be reckoned with on TV and stage. Her status as one of the best live performers of her day was cemented by her spectacular performances in Las Vegas during the 1970s and 1980s. She would dominate the stage with a blend of wit, discipline, and sensuality that left audiences speechless, all while sporting her trademark red hair, sequined outfits, and unending energy. Throughout her career, she won numerous Golden Globes and was recognized with an Emmy for her work in television, most notably for her poignant performance in Who Will Love My Children, 1983, which won her both an Emmy nomination and critical acclaim. In addition to her brilliance and beauty, Ann-Margret has been admired for her professionalism, friendliness, and capacity for self-reinvention over the years. She kept performing into her senior years, making appearances in comedies, dramas, and TV movies. Her still strong charisma and genuine emotional connection frequently stole the show. Her ongoing success is a testament to her unique ability to connect with audiences of all ages. She has collaborated with iconic performers such as Walter Matthau, Steve McQueen, John Wayne, and Jack Nicholson. There have been hardships in Ann-Margret's life. She broke her jaw and multiple facial bones in a near-fatal fall that occurred during a live performance in Lake Tahoe in the 1970s. Her perseverance in getting better and performing again was admirable. She underwent lengthy surgery and recovery, showcasing her dedication for her profession as well as her physical bravery. Her ability to persevere in the face of hardship only increased the respect she garnered from both co-workers and admirers. The 1984 television movie A Streetcar Named Desire, a potent version of Tennessee Williams' seminal 1947 stage play, had one of Ann-Margret's most highly regarded and emotionally stirring performances during her lengthy and varied career. The Pulitzer Prize-winning drama was boldly reinterpreted in this John Mann-directed production, which gave the play's nuanced and frequently sad characters fresh life on the tiny screen. Ann-Margret's magnificent depiction of Blanche DuBois, a frail, faded Southern belle clinging to fantasies of grandeur and plagued by a past full of loss and tragedy, was at the center of this adaptation. From moments of arrogance and seductive charm to times of weakness and desperation, the character required an extraordinary variety of emotions. Characteristics that Ann-Margret possessed with eerie accuracy. It wasn't easy to play a part that Vivien Leigh had made famous in the 1951 movie adaptation. However, Ann-Margret gave the character her own distinct version, winning praise from many for her emotional nuance, unvarnished realism, and subtleties. Her Blanche was a fascinating character whose decline into mental instability was depicted with painful honesty. She was both kind and delusional, elegant but frail. A formidable ensemble cast surrounded her, which included Beverly D'Angelo as Stella and Treat Williams as the savage and domineering Stanley Kowalski. In addition to Randy Quaid, Erica Yen, and Fred Sadoff in supporting parts that enhanced the story's overall complexity, Blanche's younger sister is torn between devotion and love. The television movie won 4 Emmys, received a lot of praise from critics, and strengthened the notion that, with skill and attention to detail, television could compete with the finest in motion picture. The renowned Golden Globe Award, one of many that Ann-Margret would win during her illustrious career, was given in recognition of her outstanding performance. Her development as an actress underwent a sea change with this performance, demonstrating once more that she was more than just a glitzy performer. She was a powerful dramatic force who could control the screen with poise and solemnity. In the 2017 heist comedy Going in Style, a contemporary reimagining of the classic 1979 movie, Ann-Margret made a comeback to the big screen in a charming and endearing role. The film, which was directed by actor Zach Biar, was a delightful fusion of humor, social criticism, and traditional friendship. 3 lifelong friends and retirees, portrayed by movie icons Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin, are the focus of this tale, which is set against the backdrop of corporate greed and economic insecurity. Stuck when their pensions were abruptly taken away because to dubious corporate practices. Motivated by a feeling of justice and desperation, the 3 devised a bold scheme to loot the bank that had caused their problems, transforming the movie into an unusual comedy that was full of heartfelt observations on resiliency and aging as well as laughter. Ann-Margret's portrayal of Alan Arkin's character's vivacious and affectionate love interest, Annie Santoy, added romance and energy to the story. Even decades after her Hollywood debut, her performance was understated yet endearing, demonstrating her timeless on-screen persona and innate charm. Going in Style was a commercial success, especially with older audiences, despite receiving mixed reviews from critics who praised its light-hearted tone and others who thought it fell short of the original. Viewers who valued its outstanding cast and realistic topics. Known for her lively energy and compelling on-screen persona, Ann-Margret was a legendary singer and actress. She was also a loving stepmother to 3 children from her husband Roger Smith's previous marriage. In addition to being Ann-Margret's husband, Roger Smith, a successful actor, was also her trusted manager for a large portion of her career. Their union lasted an amazing 50 years and was a great partnership on both a personal and professional level. They were wed on May 8, 1967, and stayed together until June 4, 2017, when Roger Smith passed away. In the world of Hollywood, where partnerships are sometimes short-lived, this long-lasting marriage was noteworthy. Through different phases of their jobs and personal struggles, the pair helped one another, exhibiting a strong relationship and regard for one another that endured. Ann-Margret's romantic life before meeting Roger Smith featured a number of well-known people who reflected her lively and complex personality. She formerly had a love relationship with Eddie Fisher, a well-known singer and actor of the day who was renowned for his charisma and silky voice. Given Fisher's popularity in the entertainment world, the public was interested in their connection. Ann-Margret also had a brief engagement to media entrepreneur and television producer Burt Sugarman. The brief engagement gave her early romantic encounters a new chapter, despite its brief duration. Her relationship with the legendary king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, is arguably one of the most well-known and fascinating. During their time together in the 1964 movie Viva Las Vegas, Ann-Margret and Elvis had a strong connection off-screen that some have said had love overtones. Fans were enthralled by their chemistry on and off film, and it continues to be a fascinating aspect of pop culture history. Past her love existence and acting profession, Ann-Margret advanced a passionate hobby in motorcycling, a pursuit quite uncommon for women within the 1960s, mainly the ones inside the enjoyment enterprise. Her enthusiasm for bikes became extra than a casual interest. It became a defining thing of her public persona. She famously rode a 500 cubic centimeters Triumph T1 100C Tiger motorcycle within the 1966 movie The Swinger, showcasing her bold and adventurous spirit. This equal version of motorbike became incorporated into her stay-level shows and television specials, regularly customized with a non-preferred electric starter for ease of use, highlighting her severe commitment to the sport. Her connection to Triumph motorcycles extended beyond simply using. She became featured prominently inside the enterprise's professional commercials at some point of the 1960s. These campaigns helped promote each the brand and the photograph of ladies motorcyclists, making Ann-Margret a trailblazer in representing lady empowerment and independence at some stage in that generation. But, her love for motorcycles additionally came with risks. In 2000, Ann-Margret experienced a critical twist of fate in rural Minnesota whilst she became thrown off her bike. The crash led to 3 broken ribs and a fractured shoulder. Accidents that would have sidelined a less determined person. Despite the severity of her injuries, her resilience shone via and she or he recovered to keep her lively lifestyle. This incident underscored her fearless nature and refusal to be defined by using setbacks. Ann-Margret's passion for motorcycling became extra than only a hobby. It became an expression of her vibrant personality, adventurousness, and refusal to comply to traditional expectancies of women, specifically the ones inside the limelight. At the present time, Ann-Margret refuses to rewatch Viva Las Vegas, the 1964 musical film that many enthusiasts considered one of her maximum iconic performances. Notwithstanding its lasting recognition and the scorching on-display screen chemistry she shared with Elvis Presley, the film holds a complicated emotional region in her heart. Despite the fact that she has recounted the film's cultural importance and stays proud of the artistic paintings she contributed to it, she has found out in uncommon interviews that she has in no way been able to take a seat through the whole movie in view that its launch. The reasons go far past artistic critique. They're deeply non-public and tied to both the in the back of the scenes reports throughout manufacturing and the extreme non-public dating she had with Elvis Presley for the duration of that point. Filming Viva Las Vegas marked a turning factor in Ann-Margret's career. At best 23 years old, she had already received recognition for her electrifying presence in movies like Bye Bye Birdie, however Viva Las Vegas catapulted her into a brand new realm of stardom. The film's impressive musical numbers, vibrant choreography, and glamorous styling showcased Ann-Margret in a manner Hollywood hadn't quite seen before. She was attractive yet charismatic, playful but commanding, a great counterpart to Elvis's assured swagger. However, it became precisely this expert pairing that also opened the door to a far more intimate and ultimately painful chapter in her lifestyles. For the duration of the making of the film, Ann-Margret and Elvis commenced a passionate love affair, one that might become the subject of tabloid hypothesis and years of whispered rumors. Even though the two in no way publicly showed the total quantity in their courting on the time, Ann-Margret later confirmed in her autobiography that their connection became now not simply romantic, however also deeply non-secular and emotionally excessive. They shared commonplace pursuits, a love of music, and a shocking sense of humility and shyness that bonded them off digital camera. In reality, people who labored at the set might frequently comment on how their real existence affection bled into their performances, making each flirtatious alternate on display screen feel undeniably actual. However, this closeness came at a price. As their dating deepened, it became more and more clear that Elvis's international, managed through his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, and entangled with the expectancies of his devoted fan base, would never allow him to completely decide to Ann-Margret. Even though Elvis loved her, his ties to Priscilla Beaulieu, whom he had promised to marry, and the tightly managed photo crafted by using his handlers, in the end brought about the romance to crumble. The breakup became no longer abrupt, however it was devastating. Ann-Margret was left heartbroken, and the emotional aftermath made it tough for her to revisit the memories related to Viva Las Vegas. Even years later, after she had married actor Roger Smith, a union that might final 50 years and moved forward with a satisfying profession in film, television, and degree, Ann-Margret persevered to avoid looking the film that had as soon as defined her, not due to the fact she wasn't proud of the paintings, however due to the fact each body reminded her of an excessive bankruptcy filled with love, loss, and the bittersweet pain of what should never be. She has stated that hearing the songs, seeing the dance scenes, and watching the flirtation among her person and Elvis's stirs up feelings that are certainly too powerful and too non-public to confront again. Furthermore, the experience left an enduring influence, no longer just emotionally, but also professionally. Ann-Margret located herself TYP forged after the movie's release, often pushed in the direction of roles that capitalized on her sexuality and aura in preference to her versatility as a severe actress. While she in the end succeeded in breaking out of that mold, in comes important popularity of roles in Carnal Know-How and Tommy, among others. She has spoken of the uphill warfare she faced in being taken seriously after Viva Las Vegas. The very film that made her a popular culture sensation additionally locked her right into a public picture that became tough to shake. In interviews over the years, whilst requested if she's ever revisited Viva Las Vegas, Ann-Margret has answered with a soft smile, every now and then a wistful shake of the head, and an honest, nearly whispered, no. For her, it's not only a film. It is a time pill of youngsters, fame, heartbreak, and a romance that by no means had the hazard to absolutely blossom. She treasures the recollections, however she has chosen to preserve them preserved in her mind as opposed to reliving them on display screen. For this reason, Viva Las Vegas remains one of her maximum liked yet most prevented initiatives. A glittering success wrapped in non-public sorrow and a chapter of her life that she respects too much to reopen.